Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life Was Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Kumo. He offers public and private tours as well as presentations of historical sites throughout communities in the state of Massachusetts. The communities he has chosen to focus on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the St. Jean de Baptiste Church in Ludlow, Massachusetts. So inform us of the early history of the church.
All right, started out construction 1904 for the Quebec ethnic group that was flooded into Ludlow, Massachusetts, onto the canals. And it was done in 1906, and they got their first pasture. And away they go. That church is quite gorgeous. That's to say the absolute least. All right, now today we're going to talk about all the components of the campus, which are many here. And we're going to talk about some of the first pastures, and we're also going to talk about what has become a campus overall. Has there been changes, so forth through the ages? But first, maybe talk about some of that history I mentioned. It's the first Catholic church inside of Ludlow, so you might say it's French Canadian, but in fact, it also served all the Polish, the Portuguese, and the Irish that were there. It's just that the French Canadians was the largest ethnic group by far. And its architect is one that made a lot of Catholic churches around the area. He made the Immaculate Conception Church. His name was Wonsheim No. And now the style of the church is gorgeous, of course. It's a neo-colonial style. And if you look at it, it has two gorgeous domes on the left and the right. And it also has statues embedded into the towers. And they're very big, on both the left and the right. So it's a great place to look. And you can walk in front and then walk around the back, and it always looks gorgeous. It even has a chapel in the very back. But embedded into this cornerstone, it says St. Jean Baptiste, A.D. 1904. This is the person that baptized Jesus Christ. He is the patron saint of Quebec. In fact, Quebec both has a religious holy day and a national holiday on the same period of 2 days. June 24th is the official holiday. June 23rd is the official holy day. And so we're going to learn a lot here, and I hope you go visit it, because the best thing about this church is seeing it.
Where are the components of the church, and what are they?
Okay, so you have a rectory off to its left-hand side, and that rectory was made the same year as the church, and it's still a very functional and gorgeous place. And you have a pastoral center nowadays with a big statue out in front. But the pastoral center is brand new, and it's very large. It's like a social center. And then even more to the right, even beyond the social center, there's a church, a school, this John Baptiste school. And you can tell by looking at it that it was made by the same architect. And he did it that way. Whenever he'd make a campus, he'd make the church design, but also the school and the convent design. So one side, Nome was very busy. There's a chapel attached to the back left of the main body of the church. There's an enormous churchyard behind with nice trees, statues, outdoor shed. And there's an old-time bell put into this campus. I'm not sure where it comes from St. Mary of Assumption, but there's never been that church inside of Ludlow itself. Now, like always, for every church, cemetery, park, so forth, I have its own individual webpage, and you get to see what this church looked like. For instance, I have one picture from 1915. It looks the same. All right, it hasn't changed much at all, and that's a great sign. That means the community is well behind it.
And really quick before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to sign up for any of his various tours or find out more information, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can also find podcasts and videos of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites throughout. And for other inquiries or to book a private tour, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational, outdoor activities for families and group parties. So, getting back to our interview, who are some of the first pastors?
All right, the first one that was much beloved here, he wasn't the actual first, he was the second pastor of this parish, St. Jean Baptiste. His name was Louis Gobel. He was the pastor from 1909 to 1912. But when he died, he was so beloved, even only being there 4 calendar years, that they gave him a funeral mass where 4,000 people showed up in that community. That's how much the French Canadians were into their pastures and into their parish. And then it has to be tough to follow up on that. They actually brought his body back to his homeland nation, Quebec, and he's buried in his hometown of Lange-Gaudin. Now, the next pastor to come along would serve from 1912 onwards, and his name was the Reverend Dr. L.T. Rodier. That means he had a PhD, and he also had a pastoral degree. Catholic priests have to go 4 years undergraduate college, 4 years of graduate college to learn how to be a priest and learn languages. To be a priest in the United States, Catholic priest, you have to know 5 different languages. And still, that's only the equivalent of a strong master's degree program, even though it's 4 years. It's a professional and master's degree there. You learn divinity, and you also learn how to serve the parish. But he went beyond that and became a doctorate with a PhD. So he was a very learned man and very popular. And I have 2 pictures of it, and one of the pictures says, in 1924, he celebrated 25th anniversary of being a priest, and that's when he was in Ludlow. And the parishioners showed up again in great numbers to come honor that day with him. All right. So they were served, the second and third pastors, they served very well, and the parish loved these 2 men.
And what has become of the campus? How has it evolved?
It's evolved so that churchyard, which is mostly in back, has gotten a lots of statues. And that's probably slightly unusual. But remember, they have 2 gorgeous statues in the main, right next to the main tower in front. One is St. Jean Baptiste himself, and the other one is probably St. Joseph holding Jesus Christ. Now, this is important because who baptized Jesus was St. Jean Baptiste. Now, he baptized him when he was an adult. Jesus was an adult, but he's being held here as a child. So it's representing baptism, but also representing who he baptized. He baptized him as an adult, but he shows him as a child here. Now, also around this area, I didn't mention the convent yet. The convent came around in the year, I believe it was 1924, came a little bit later. And then what do you find in the very back? Lots more statues. So you can go walking around back there and meet up with many statues. Now in the front, churchyard, you also have more statues. I don't think I've ever seen so many statues around, and this is a big campus. All right, they get a big maintenance shed in back. It's all well taken care of. It's gorgeous, loads of flowers and bushes, and a lot of the Catholic uh, churches in Ludlow are so well taken care of. But that's because the Catholics out there are very serious about their religion.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And you can check out a large selection of our podcasts on his website, as well as on SoundCloud.com. And be sure to stay up to date with new podcasts and videos posted daily. Thank you, and hope you tune in again.